Saxdor, Nimbus, Quarken, Dromia, Axopar. How do you decide? So there's a lot of choice for you now when it comes to adventure boats, and so there should be. It's an awesome category and it's taking over the market. But I am noticing, especially in the comments, a lot of decision paralysis. So how do you decide what's the best adventure boat for your needs? Because there's no straight answer to this. So today we're on the Ryck 280, a boat that deserves a lot more attention than what it's been getting. They've actually been having a lot of success in the background with over 200 boats built since I last filmed them, so that's pretty cool. This boat, this Ryck, has a special purpose, and I'm going to give you some examples. I sold boats for 20 years before I started the channel, and I was an Axopar salesman for a good chunk of that. The Axopars are great for going from A to B. They have a really, really lovely hull that goes fantastically through the water. You can't knock them there. But where maybe they are slightly lacking is their onboard volume and space and social areas. So if you want to go from A to B, get off and go to a cafe, or take your mountain bikes and go mountain biking, well, there's your answer. Buy the Axopar. But if you want to stay on board the boat and you're more of a, say, a picnicker, and you want to take a lunch and sit around a table and do that style of boating, well, then maybe you should consider this Ryck. So let's do it. Dan Jones is my name. You're watching Dan's Boat Life. Subscribe if you haven't already. This is the tour of the boat, and we have just done a very detailed test drive. We did take it out in the ocean. Not too many waves today, but there is another video where I took it out in the waves about 1.5 years ago on the summer that we never had. So you can check that out as well, and I'll link to that in the description below. But come straight back and let's focus on my main point about this boat, because I am noticing in the way some of you guys talk to me that you're all using your boats for different purposes, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And considering that the adventure boat market is overtaking the sports cruiser market from 10 and 20 years ago, remember the Sea Ray 275 Sundancers and boats of that style, this is now overtaking all of that in Australia, definitely in Europe, and I guess in America. I've never been to America, but it sounds like it from the way you guys write to me, and many, many good reasons. So the reason you may value a Ryck is because of what I'm sitting on right now. We have a huge amount of social picnicking space sitting around a proper table, something that you would expect on a traditional sports cruiser. Ability to have your medium-sized family sitting around here and enjoying themselves. So let's start at the transom and then work our way to the front of the boat, and she does have some accommodation, which we're going to check out a little bit later in the video. So fixed transom just out here. We do have the powder-coated black aluminium ski pole, and we're running a 350 horsepower Merc. There will be more engine options available with these boats in the future. We've got now nice black cleats on either side. We have midship cleats and bow cleats, and the shore power is accessible on port aft. You can see we have the aft sunshade deployed at the moment, and there is the option for a bow sunshade as well, only for use when you are stationary. On the starboard side aft, we have our telescopic swim ladder. That's a 4-step swim ladder. We've got a grab handle just here, small kitten doggy door. That's a unique solution, haven't seen that before. Very simple. And then we have a stainless steel covered swim shower, basically. So as you enter, that's just here. And then we have a manual bilge pump immediately forward of that. But check this out. One operation of a lever here turns into a sun lounge, and it does get better. So this table has a short leg, so we can cut the size down and turn this into a massive day bed. So you can go from social eating mode to multiple people lounging on the sun lounge, and you might choose to sit there with a backrest, have people playing around, or do this whole thing. I wonder if it has multiple positions or not. I'm not sure. No, it looks like it's just got the 2 positions. So backrest and then sunshade. or sun lounge is what I meant to say. So that's just super cool. And the amount of space we have here is quite large for, you know, some of the competitors in terms of the way their space utilization has worked. So underneath here, we have one of the two fridges. So that's just here on starboard. We've got the subwoofer on port, and then forward of the L shape, we have the second fridge. I'm just going to open that one so you can see. They're both the same. Drawer fridges, so no freezers, but you don't really need a freezer on a day boat like this. It really is just going out for the day. Next thing that's worth pointing out, to make sure you can see this, Anthony, it's our cooker. So you can have an optional barbie, and this is the gas cooker, I guess you would call it. And you know what? A lot of guys and girls like to make a cup of tea or coffee when you're out in beautiful locations like this and you haven't got a coffee shop right there. So that's super cool. I see a lot of value for many of you in that scenario. This looks like cold water only. We've got the hot plate, looks like a mirror, but that's just a stainless hot plate there for the cooker. And then if you are doing the cafe thing and you order food, you could still utilize this as an area to put your food and then serve up on the table just there. So that's going to work. Now, underneath the floor here, we've got access to our tankage, wiring loom, batteries, and storage. So you could actually put a safety grab bag just with your life jackets would go well underneath the middle just here. I also note that these, all of these are individual panels, so aft, mid, and forward, and they unbolt. So for access for longer term maintenance, it is possible. They haven't hidden everything away from you. So now I'm just going to come up the starboard side and we'll focus on the dash before I get to underneath the seats, because there's a couple of cool things going on here. This layout is great for a solo operator. So if you envisage or dream of yourself driving the boat completely solo and just your guests relaxing, the reason why this works is because your access from the wheel to the side decks, both sides, is possible. So I deployed the stern anchor here, pulling up on the beach before releasing the bow anchor because it's a rising tide and I just didn't want to lose the bow. And here I am in this wonderful little spot, and this is what you can do in a boat like this. Some designs, the windscreens will come around. Now that's good for colder climates, and if you do want to be out of the wind because you have a little bit less wind protection just here. If you're in a warmer place like here, then maybe that's not so important to you. So you do you. But from an operational perspective, being able to go forward and aft, also having this transition forward and aft on starboard and having the seats on port makes it very sensible, basically, from an operational perspective. So we've got our throttle base just here. It's all pretty stock standard stuff, what you would expect on most adventure boats of this design. We have key start, we've got safety, we've got a big drink holder on port and starboard, and that will take a, that'll take a tinny with a cooler. We've got the bow thruster, that's the button version, quick windlass, and then we have all of our systems, power to the dash, various lights, some spares, water pressure, and the windscreen wiper operation, of which we have one wiper on this one. We've got the Simrad display on this particular boat, but you can see there is space for 2 screens if you choose, and then we have the joystick, not the joystick, the keypad control if your fingers were wet and you couldn't use the touchscreen just there. Looks like I've got a little amp hour meter just here showing me my battery state. I like having the stereo near the driver. I don't like it when they hide them over on the port side. Lots of boats seem to do that, and it's kind of annoying when you're driving by yourself and you can't reach the stereo. What's going on in here? I guess that's a 12-volt cigarette charger. Bit of space for phones and wallets and things down here. Speakers on port and starboard. More space for phones and wallets on port. And then underneath, on both sides, we have opening with shelves. Actually, I'll open that one on port so you can see, Anthony. So you just guys have a look just here, because they mirror each other on port and starboard. So plenty of space to store items that you wish to grab throughout the day. Now, what you would do on a boat like this, everyone's going to have duffel bags for stuff that they want to bring with them for the day. You'll probably just throw those bags down here in the cabin because we have quite a large cabin. This is a boat that two people would actually happily stay the night on because it's a decent accommodation down there. But that's going to keep the decks nice and clean, because you don't want clutter on the decks of a boat that'll do 45 knots, because the clutter might blow away. And then you just have phones and items that you want to access throughout the day in these areas, and then everything's kind of in a good controlled manner and not going to blow off the decks. Now these seats, come around and have a look at the seats actually. I'll sit on them. Okay, so you are pretty high. So see my little legs. Don't use that as a normal length. I have pretty short legs. Sitting up, that works. I'm really, really bedded in, feel nice and comfortable. But what they have added to the Ryck, which they didn't on the last one that I tested, is short man operation. So now I can actually do that. That's quite good from a seating and driving position. And I personally found the standing super comfortable on this boat. You could do that setup if you needed the extra height, or you could just stand and drive like so, and then operate the wheel if you need some room for your gut. So that's all pretty cool. The wind vortices did come over my head, but if I was sitting just here, it would start to hit my hat. So if that's a problem at 40 knots, just flip your hat around and pay attention. I felt super secure at speed and through different heel angles, and never at any time, even at 40 knots, did I feel like I was going to slide away from the wheel. It wanted to plant my weight down instead of to the side, so that felt pretty good. But you've always got this to grab onto if you felt the need, so if you're in rough water, something like that. So that's all pretty cool. I think I covered everything there. Got a little window into the loo forward. This is lighter color, so it's a kind of, this is a gray, this is not white. I would pay attention to that on a super glary day, just in case it reflects back into your face. I didn't have a problem with that today, so I can't say it was a problem, but I'll just pay attention. And that's a nice matty kind of finish just there, which complements the dash. We'll go downstairs in a second, as I said. So let's go forward, Anthony, and check out the bow. So you got this one little step here. We've got the flexi teak on this one. Maybe you go up port and I'll come up starboard. I got my waist out, just midships starboard, and then the hand railing or the safety railing starts, and it's, you know, at above knee height just here. So you do feel nice and secure, but in terms of things to hold on to, the roof or the T-top, it's a solid GRP setup. So it is something you can hold on to at all times. And from a longevity perspective, as opposed to doing the material ones, it's obviously going to last a lot longer. So just pay that, pay attention to that. So the bow itself, this is a good looking thing, I got to say. It's kind of like, it's like a Mediterranean day boat, you know, some of your big sexy med day boats, but consolidated into 28-foot adventure boat is the styling vibe I get from this. It's probably one of the sexiest day boats, adventure boats, I should say, that I've tested in this size. So take that for what it is. So let's have a look at the anchor setup. This is clever. Actually, you need to see this. So this is actually where you store the fenders. I'm just going to pull a couple out, get the camera down here, let everyone have a look at this. So a simple solution to a common problem. See how the windlass is here and it goes through this roller. So the chain goes down around that roller and out there. So we have this bow roller extension which you can walk on, which keeps the anchor free and clear from hitting the flat stem bow, which you have to pay attention to on a flat stem cutting bow boat, because if the anchor was too close, you'd take a chip out of the fiberglass. But this design just keeps the motor forward and then allows me to throw fenders down like I just did, and this becomes a usable storage area rather than having the motor here, which then is a waste of space. So I think that's just good, clever German engineering. I like that. That's good. Pay attention, this is a brand new boat, so all the commissioning has not been done yet, because ordinarily this would have a little holder just there, just hasn't been installed. That's probably the first drive, so just that is what it is. Now, the navigation lights are just forward of this little hatch here. Boom, boom. And we have deployed the anchor, as you can see. And underneath me here is an escape hatch and also ventilation into the cabin. But I am Gonna just give you some perspective of the sun lounge, which is quite comfortable. The foam is thick. Sitting up here on a sunny day would be quite enjoyable. And then if you did the optional sunshade forward, you could do it in the middle of the day as well. But we've got a couple of drink holders up forward. I noticed 2 drink holders aft and then 2 drink holders in the middle of the boat. So 6 in total. Maybe you could do with a couple more down the back of the boat when you're all sitting there. But remember, low center of gravity, they don't rock too much, this style of boat. So just something to consider. I think I've covered everything there, all around white light above the T-top just there. I think it's time to go downstairs and have a look at the cabin. So this is an awesome picnic boat, but it's actually a super capable overnighter for 2 people. It's probably got the best accommodation that I have seen in this size in terms of the size of the bed and the space that you have downstairs. So they've kept quite an amount of fullness in the bow in this design, which allows us to have this. So come on down. So, you know, I didn't even hit my head down there. Everything's padded. This is just the hull of the boat. But look at the amount of space that I've got. Okay, I'm just gonna put my feet just there. Look how big this bed is, guys. It's huge. I can lie across here and I can lie across here. This is a 28-foot adventure boat. So this is the escape hatch and ventilation that I was pointing out before. This is just your main bulkhead. Through here is going to be the anchor locker. And underneath, I like how they've made everything accessible. So I've got wiring loom going forward. That takes me just to the battery for the bow thruster, just there. And the bow thruster itself is just in this tunnel in here. Everything's accessible, nothing's hidden. Got my battery switch just there. I have 240 charging, some light switches just there, some windows, they're fixed, not opening with blinds, but nobody's going to see in anyway because you have the sides of the boat that comes up. One down light just there. And give me the camera, Anthony. I'm going to take you guys into the bathroom with me. So I'll sit on this in a second. It's a proper loo. So instead of making what would be considered as a bit of a sacrifice for some of you, so just hold that for me, Anthony. I'll just let everyone see. With accommodation and toilets, this is what many of you would expect on a regular sports cruise or a regular cabin boat. But just look at me. I'm sitting on the toilet. I can stand up. I can stand up in this part of the in this part of the toilet, and then I'm just bending my head just there. So this is very, very good for a size of boat like this. Just got your normal lockers in there, decent sink, got a electric toilet, and we can vent this cabin area. So that's awesome, but it's not over. I'm just gonna point out the storage. So just here on port, we've got a nice little bench area that actually underneath here is all the wiring. So that's nothing functional under there, but the drawer in here, sorry, that's not a drawer, that's a locker, and then cupboard as well over here, plus 2 little storage nooks just here. It's just a place to keep lots of bits and pieces. And if you are just going out for one night, which is probably about what you would do on a boat like this, you just have somewhere to put all your things. So that's fine. So guys, I hope that was useful. Don't forget to subscribe if this is valuable to you. I make these videos to improve your boat life. If you really want to support the channel, get onto the Patreon, share the videos with all your mates. So what do I think about this Ryck 280? This boat deserves a lot of attention for anyone who wants to do serious family boating and picnic style, stay on board the boat, have a lunch, do that sort of thing. The space on board, this Ryck caters very, very well to that. Also, if you fancy the idea of taking your partner out for some overnight adventures, and I don't just mean in Sydney Harbour, run the thing up the coast if you want. You can do some offshore miles on one of these, no problems at all. I'd be very happy to do that. So if that's you, then come and have a look at the Ryck. It's a good piece of kit, made in Germany, the same blokes that make the fjord boats. So yeah, I think it's one worth considering. My name's Dan Jones. You've been watching Dan's Boat Life. If you want to see the test drive, that's coming up on the screen right now. Follow the link. Cheers, guys.